Welcome to Canada.
You're getting reverb, Nancy. You got your two phones on there or something?
No.
Oh.
And I've even put my headphone on. And you interrupted as I was welcoming everybody to Crypto Night in Canada. How's everybody doing tonight?
Perfect.
Excellent.
Well, Haas is in the house. Ken's in the house. Tim Danter's in the house. I know Tim Perry will be arriving shortly. He's got something that's holding him up a little bit, but he'll be here. And hoping Ryan will be on as well, and maybe
He's
Neil,
coming.
the coin chaser. Tim, why don't you take over and I'll figure out why I've got reverb going on.
So, everybody having fun? How's your Theta and Theta Fuel doing there, Ken?
Oh, you know it. Have you been watching T-Fuel? It's gone through the roof.
What the heck is it? Tell me.
It's going to be like the gas token for Theta.
No, I know that, but it's something. Because all the tokens are down, right?
Yeah, mainnet. The mainnet is supposed to be 3.0 is supposed to be released at the end of the month. So there's going to be huge staking with T-Fuel and with Theta. So everybody's kind of jumping on it right now, which is nice because it's went from. I bought in at 44 cents, and I think it's sitting around 70 cents Canadian now. So, wow. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know it's certainly not the whales pumping that one, is it?
It could be. It could be because there's going to be staking involved. So that's a whale thing usually too. Staking.
I did a video with Tim Perry, which I have to still edit because there might be. I just have to block out some stuff, and I don't know what I have to block out. And right. I'll be honest with you. I did not know the power of farming. I did not know the power of farming. I got on there with Tim Perry, and Nancy, you're going to add. There you go. Oh, look. Our first meme.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
I didn't know the power of farming, and he's going down because he's pairing Matic with this, and he's all these other things, and then he just kind of takes me around. And he says you can actually pair it if you want to have something that's stable in stable coins. So then he takes me over to like a Tether and a USDC, and it's like 300%, and I'm like, oh, holy cow.
Yeah.
On U.S. stable money that it's not going to be, it's money that's not really going to be affected by anything. It might be a cent here and there, and it's like 300%, and I'm like, holy man, is that ever powerful?
Isn't USDC more stable than Tether?
I think it depends.
Money-wise, isn't it only off by maybe a nickel, where Tether, it's been off by like 30 cents?
Yeah.
No, I've seen Tether be pretty close to $1.
Yeah, I think they're still 1-to-1. I think the difference there when you're looking at USDC and Tether is more the management of the reserve. I'm not sure. It gets really complicated in how exactly these companies work because they're essentially working like the Federal Reserve, other than that they actually have to have United States dollars backing the digital currency. But yeah,
it's insane. It's absolutely insane. There was an announcement out from what was it, Ledden, that they've started to reduce some fees, and you can see that Tim explained to me. I asked him about the APY, how come it goes down? It's just because it gains so much interest, right? They've got to spread out the wealth amongst everyone. He says so. The trick is to go to a I'm not going to get this right because it's still kind of new, but go to somewhere where they're farming it and is not well known, because once the site or the pairing, wherever you're pairing it, gets known, it drops the APY.
Yeah. Anytime there's more, either there's more being pooled in liquidity or there's more trading happening on that DEX, it's going to reduce the APYs. We saw the same thing with like Pancake Swap. The APYs are now down to 60-70%. Whereas I'm over on a slew of other DEXs, DeFi being one of them, and you're earning on some pairs, like I'm earning 455% on DeFi Nomadic. So there's a lot of power in the newer stuff. Yeah.
That's the
I
one.
got I got a question actually for you guys. This is interesting. I just noticed on Binance, I put some coins on there to stake it. I've locked some in. I'm noticing that a lot of these coins, if you lock them in for like 15 days, you get like 26% APY. But if you lock it in for like 90 days, you only get 8% APY, which that's kind of backwards. Anybody
It is
know
kind of
why?
backwards.
Yeah, usually the longer you lock it, the more APY you get. So I'm wondering if there is an actual shortage of altcoins on exchanges right now. I'm wondering if that's why they're doing that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'd have to know more to make an educated guess on exactly what's happening. I wouldn't know enough to speculate on that.
Okay.
You know
Yeah,
what
'cause I
I'm
just
if
noticed
I
it.
was if I was to speculate, it's sort of how we play the food industry, right? When I'm not sure, but I've got some inventory that I'm long on, I may try to blow it out and make a deal to blow it out, but I won't do it over the long term because I'm not sure what the price of the commodity is going to be. So it could be that, so that they're willing to give it to you now to push to have, to your point, Ken, to have those coins on the exchange, and then they'll back off because they don't know what the longer than that time frame is going to look like for them.
I guess that makes sense kind of with what's going on with Bitcoin and the price and the dips and everything.
Yeah. I'm seeing Riley Mack in chat say that the ones with 15% APY typically have a lower limit to stake, which makes sense, right? When you're on BlockFi, for example, they only allow you to stake a certain amount of Bitcoin until they reduce it. So it could be that the higher pooled amounts are giving a lower ROI. So they want you earning maybe 20% on the small amount, and then you put the rest in the bigger amount. So that could be it for the longer lockups, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, I just wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat. We didn't have a chance to do that. We're 7 minutes in. We got 34 people viewing live tonight. So happy to have you on such a warm, beautiful evening. Well, here in Ontario anyways. I'm not sure what it's like elsewhere, but I know that Haas, Tim, and Ken and I are all in Ontario. And it's been a beautiful day today. And so it's great to have so many people coming out. I guess there's still a lot of interest. Even though we've had such volatility, there's still a lot of interest in the crypto market and the crypto space. And so welcome everybody. This has been, we're so happy to have you tonight. I know Ken, now we've got Neil's in the house, the coin chaser, and Ryan was here, but he obviously was having some technical challenges. I'm sure he'll be back. So welcome, Neil. Haas, tell us what's going on in your world, because I haven't seen I actually haven't been on YouTube myself much lately, which is bizarre for me. Have you had any videos come out lately?
Yeah, so a couple. I upload pretty regularly at this point. We're up to at least one upload every weekday, and then the live stream on Saturday. A lot of it has been right now, like market trends, what's going on in the market. Recently, there was a couple of things that I brought up. If any of you saw the anonymous video against Elon Musk, I talked a little bit about that on Monday. So we got to go through my thoughts on what happened there. Obviously, we watched that on the live stream, but interesting topic. I think they brought up a lot of good points in terms of like what Elon Musk is doing and how he isn't that great for the crypto market. And people need to recognize that we need to stop investing on one individual person saying anything. And we also need to recognize that no matter how much FOMO or FUD, the price could always do what we don't expect it to do. So even today, I put out a video and somebody's like, "What are you smoking?" when I'm saying that Bitcoin could go down. Fair enough. I get it. You see this big green girthy candle and you're thinking, oh, well, it's going to go back up. This recovery zone. At the end of the day, we bounce all the time. And it's very common that we'll bounce, go up, and then come back down. So I think we're going to get rejected and we're going to see some low levels in the near term. But HODL, lower your dollar cost average. That's what I'm doing. I'm just full force in DeFi at this point.
Well, Haas, did you hear that one of the angles or one of the opinions is that the whales are keeping the price of Bitcoin down in order to load up on ETH?
Interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of there's always going to be market manipulation, especially in an asset class this small. You're going to see it a lot more with an asset class like this. very well could be to keep ETH down.
There's been a lot of ETH gobbled up in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think people do need to understand, and I put out a poll on this of like whether or not ETH can flip Bitcoin, but people need to understand, and I think it was Tyler Winklevoss or his brother that said this, Cameron, one of the two, I think it was Tyler. He said that, when you're looking at gold is fine. Gold is a store of value. Gold is great. But is gold the same as like the internet? Is gold this, network of like what Ethereum is? Ethereum is a product that we can build things on. It's this open source product, and it's excellent for what it is. It's revolutionary, right? So when you're looking at that, can Bitcoin possibly be flipped by Ethereum? Well, there's a lot of people that say it could. Goldman Sachs being one of them, saying that we could possibly see Ethereum be flipped. So realistically, is it out of the cards? And would I put it past big hedge funds to lower ETH just to buy in at a lower price? No, I wouldn't put it past them at all. I totally understand. ETH is definitely going to 10K at some point in the, I say near future, but by near future, what I'm saying is more like within a year or so. So ETH is going to 10K. It is what it is. So I would understand that.
I'm surprised that we now take the opinion of and listen to the Goldman Sachs, the JP, all these banks who, but months ago, poo-pooed all of this. Now everybody's listening to it and going, "Oh, must be true." It's like, you idiot.
Well, I think some people are looking at it because, for example, for me, I always looked at a lot of that Goldman Sachs FUD, other than maybe the CEO saying that he'd fire anyone that buys Bitcoin, which, by the way, he is buying Bitcoin now. I would look at all of that as more strategic FUD. A lot of people will tell you that it's a scam, that it's bullshit. That way they can load up their bags in secret, and I think a lot of that has been going on. So now that their bags are full, they're like, oh, hey, yeah, Bitcoin's an asset class. It's time to buy, guys. So doors are open because the rich have already got in, and now it's your turn, essentially.
You're muted.
I'm muted? Can you hear me?
Nancy's muted.
Sorry.
Oh,
How did you mute me? I think you muted me.
Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
Because you have an opportunity to
Why
shut
would
me
I do
up.
that?
That's why you did that. So first of all, welcome, Ryan. It's great to see you. I'm glad you got to Ontario safe and sound, and enjoying the sunny weather we've got here. I heard that Michael Saylor has been buying up more Bitcoin again. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, that doesn't change for me. I mean, okay, so here's my hot take on Michael Saylor. I tend to have a hot take on anyone. He was very, very critical on Bitcoin. And now all of a sudden everyone's propping him up as, again, this big prophet that knows all about Bitcoin, right? It's whoever is speaking their narrative at that certain point is the person who leads them, right? And I say them as in like Bitcoin maximalists or just Bitcoiners in general or cryptocurrency people. I don't even want to say Bitcoiners in general because Elon Musk, it was the exact same thing. Whatever Elon Musk said, got to invest in it. It's crazy. It's mob mentality. Do your own research. Don't care about what Michael Saylor is doing. Use it as acknowledgement that you're not crazy, but look past it. Nobody knows exactly what they're doing here, including the very, prominent businessmen. So.
Well, except that the only thing I would say on that one, Haas, is that it was actually when we first looked at getting into Bitcoin. It was a year ago right now. Tim and I met with my friend Rory, and he was talking to us about it and whatnot. And so we started with like $300, and we moved our way along. And it was interesting because the second that Michael Saylor came out and announced that he had bought, we had just done our biggest purchase of it. And I'm telling you, I was jumping for joy and fist pumping because my company uses the MicroStrategy product, and I know how powerful that is for my company. I can't do a deal without running a whole bunch of scenarios through his software program, and it spits me out all sorts of profit models and various things so that I can make informed decisions about what I might like to do if I want to put a deal together. So when I realized that he was also investing in it for MicroStrategies, that's when I was like, he's probably run all kinds of scenarios through that system And I was like, if he's buying that much, this must be a good thing. So that's why I'm really believe in what Michael Saylor stands for, is because I know what his program does. That's all.
Yeah, that I can understand. And at the end of it, like, Bitcoin is fantastic. The mathematics on Bitcoin is there, right? So Michael Saylor's right, and all these people are right that are talking about Bitcoin. It's all correct. It's all factual. It's funny to see how people were so adamant one way and not the other. And you even see now that former presidents are talking about how Bitcoin is a scam. So I think that's shaken up the sentiment for some people. But just trust your gut here. Like, we know what we hold at this point. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. It's going to be here for the next 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 years. So,
yeah, no, it's true. Just wanted to take a quick moment and shout out to my cousin Scott Cox is in the house. Hi, Scotty. Thanks for joining us tonight. And he always says he can't understand what we're talking about. I'm sorry. I know we talk very. We're all at different levels of cryptocurrency talk, and it is confusing. But I just want to say hi to him and welcome to everybody else. So, and Doug Dixon's in the house. This is another friend of mine. This is so exciting. It's such a warm, sunny night. I got so many people coming on that I know personally. This is awesome.
How can it be a warm, sunny night?
it's still sunny. Look at
you can't even see the sun's in his eyes, for crying out loud.
That's a light. That's a light. Yeah, it's dark as hell. If I just turn this off. Ooh.
And Kelly's here. Hey, Kelly. This is great. And oh my gosh, there's just so many people in the house tonight. This is so much fun. This is so fun.
Easy now. Easy.
I'm not sure if you guys. Oh, I was going to say, I'm not sure if you guys covered this because I've been on the road and not really paying attention to the news. What was the cause of that massive and sudden kind of drop? Now it recovered, but like, what happened that 2 or 3 days ago when everything went down 10, 15%, like that? I haven't looked it up. I know nothing. I'm a total, like I said, I was on the road. Or did you even notice it, kind of thing? I don't know.
Didn't even notice it. I'm used to seeing red.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
it's hard to attribute it to like one. Yeah. It's hard to attribute it to like one thing, right? A lot of people were talking about an Elon Musk tweet that had just gone out. I can't even remember what it was. It was something about like Elon Musk selling. Next thing you know, Tesla's gonna like sell Bitcoin, and he tweeted back, "Indeed," and then he pumped some porn token. And So it's been a messy week. That's all I have to say about that.
Yep. Candace said that Bitcoin is now legal tender in El Salvador, and they're going to mine it. They're using volcanoes. So she goes, Bitcoin is on the mend. I watch Will Clementi. If anybody follows him on Twitter, he's really, really good. And he is on Pomp's Saturday show, and he writes for Anthony Pompliano's newsletter. So I watch a little bit of Will Clementi. Have you seen any of his stuff, Haz?
No, I wouldn't say I have. Nope.
Oh, his analytics are really, really good, and he shows how many people are still holding, long-term holders, and that we've really shaken out a lot of the new people have been shaken out by this, and so but he goes, it's going to take a lot of influx of cash in order to really move the mark on this. So we may be sitting in this position for quite some time. So, and that's okay. I know that there was a question about XRP, and I know with Haz in the house, he's got to have. Doug's asking about XRP, Ripple. How do you feel? I'm feeling okay about it. How about you, Haz?
Yeah, I have zero issues. People will always give their FUD, and they always have their opinions on everything, and it's going to be their opinion. At the end of the day, when you look at what's actually happening with Ripple, the case with the SEC, the case is about to go in the favor of Ripple. And you look at how Ripple has managed the escrow and everything else, all the FUD is basically just that FUD. Because if you look at the quarterly reports that Ripple puts out about their escrow, where the money goes from the escrow, it's going to liquidity corridors, it's going back in the escrow. They're not printing new XRP like people say. And a common piece of FUD that I always hear for people is, well, when these big banks are on the system, they're not buying your XRP, they're buying it directly from Ripple. That's not true. What they're doing is they're putting their money into the system. And this is, sorry, this is going into the distributed ledger that runs XRP, and that increases the value of the system. The whole point of the system is to gain value to initiate these transactions at a higher efficiency in a way. So it's not about them buying my tokens. And in fact, I don't want them buying my tokens. I want my tokens because I know where my tokens are going to go. It's the one cryptocurrency that's been working to be legislatively compliant with the big companies. We're talking about the United States, Canada, working with the global central bank, the IMF, and everyone else. So it's, you know, people are going to have their FUD to say about it, and everything else, just look past it is my best opinion, or my best suggestion. Like, I don't even make XRP videos specifically because people just don't like it. So
with all this involvement from the banks and the governments and whatever forces may act upon the world of cryptocurrency, at what point do we say this isn't decentralized anymore? This is starting to look centralized, and it's not looking so appealing. Do you think we ever reach that point?
With which specifically? Are we talking about XRP or cryptocurrency in general?
With
Because I think
just the way they're going after Bitcoin, which, you know, if they're going after ETH now, and I mean, those are the two big boys, right? But I mean, you know, you look at what Musk does. He's not just after Bitcoin and ETH. He's going down on the other coins, right?
Yeah. Nope. So I would say, like, I had criticism about Elon Musk going out to the Dogecoin devs to make changes, right? There's no voting structure to make these changes. There's no researching to going into understanding, is this good for monetary policy for Dogecoin? Is this going to make Dogecoin inherently better? It's just one man's word. And sure, that man is incredibly smart, but that doesn't mean anything, right? That's one man. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about decentralization, which is important. When we look at all cryptocurrencies, they all have some risk of being centralized if there's a node attack where they're taking up more nodes than they should. China is one big example with the Bitcoin nodes. Now, I'm not saying that they have a stronghold on Bitcoin or Bitcoin centralized, but it's at as much risk as any other cryptocurrency would be. If we're talking about XRP specifically, to bring that into the loop, because often you hear, well, XRP is centralized because Ripple picks the validators. Well, they don't pick the validators. They tell you this is the validator list that we suggest, which is universities, the SEC, a bunch of other government bodies, and then this is the other ledger that anyone can run a node on. So you can choose which one you want. They're not pigeonholing you, but obviously, what's Bank of America going to use, right? Well, what are these big banks going to use? Well, they're going to use the one that's suggested by Ripple. Does that make it centralized? I would argue no, because of the requirements to be a validator is that you're responding on time, you're in consensus 100% of the time, and you have very low downtime. So that to me seems pretty valid for me. So.
Hey, Neil, tell me about the world of NFTs. What's cooking over there?
Yeah, Neil. Oh, you're on mute, buddy.
I didn't do it. Swear to God.
We were still muted.
Muting everybody tonight. What's
I haven't
going
touched
on?
the thing. It's the dog.
You've been silenced.
Yeah,
that's right,
buddy.
Well, while he fixes that, why don't we go on? And does it? He's went right off. He's gone.
So Ryan, what's going on with you and your crypto excursions?
I haven't really been going crazy on anything new. I got my same ETH, almost 5, spread across. Same with I've got the same holdings with Doge. I got the same with XRP. Nothing's really changed on that front. The only reason I asked about that drop that happened the other day, because someone was saying the ex-president said something. I heard something about the FBI doing something else. Then I heard, I don't know, it's about 100 stories. I don't know what was going on, but the only big thing that happened while I was on the road was a very quick little swing I was able to take advantage of there. But beyond that, not a heck of a lot. Dollar cost averaging my way. I'm still ETH to the end of time and rocking and rolling with that. But I'm getting ready myself now outside of crypto type of stuff. I'm just getting ready myself to hit the road again and head back to Calgary tomorrow. So I'm kind of just rocking and rolling, but I haven't been following the news too much. obviously a lot of news. Well, the only thing, I mean, I've been trying to follow with that Miami Bitcoin conference, whatever the hype is going around that, and then El Salvador, obviously. I'm more just a follower and a spectator lately. It seems like there's a lot of news coming out all the time. But again, I'm just DCAing my way into ETH all the time, for sure.
It's been a daily thing that we get some sort of FUD article, right? And like, especially with the Donald Trump scenario, like, here's my thing, you know, regardless of whether or not you hate or like Trump, why are you taking advice from somebody that doesn't understand tech? You hear about him talking all the time about, you know, how computers are not safe and risky. And, you know, arguably, I'm not going to take technical advice from a 76-year-old. It's just probably not going to happen for me. So I don't know why people are looking at Donald Trump calling something a scam, where you see all these other people that have called Bitcoin a scam religiously over and over and now have changed their tune. Couldn't it just be that same scenario? It's just because he has a bigger pedestal to stand on that people get a little bit more scared. But
yeah, no kidding.
All right, Neil, have you got audio now?
I don't know, do I?
Yeah.
Yay!
All right.
There you go.
So what's cooking? Let's go to our NFT guy. What's going on?
I completely left NFTs a few weeks ago. Not following it. Not interested in it. Not right now. It will come back when it's its turn. So
really?
I'm completely into liquidity pooling, except for my Kusama and DOT. I've actually gone out of my way to get off exchanges. I've transferred my Matic, my Root. I'm going as decentralized as possible. So like, to that point about centralization, people can choose how they interact with crypto. So that's going to be a big narrative, I think, in the future. But right now I'm following, basically, because the market, it's kind of in a sideways, it's volatile. I'm just trying to accumulate as more coins. And, you know, a cross-chain decentralized exchange seems like a pretty good bet. And then I just started pooling DFYN with a stablecoin for 500%, and I was like, that's kind of, you know, mitigating my risk a bit. So, you know, I'm just exploring that way, and I actually am not locked up permanently, so I can pull it whenever I want. But I'm just kind of doing that for now until maybe I see something else in the market. I see a Comey, you know, just laying there hurt, and I want to buy more, but now is not the time.
No.
I really do like that project, but I'm really just trying to focus on, you know, being a little bit more stable. And I'm working more now. It's the summer, so, you know, having kids, like, I still think NFTs long term. It totally got me hooked. I still love them. I think they're great, but I also would like to earn some money before the bear market comes. Yeah. Or at least grow my bags. I'm still chasing coins. I'm just doing it in a much more focused DeFi way.
So here's a question for you. If you are off exchanges with your KSM and your DOT, are you staking them?
I'm in liquidity pool.
For your DOT and KSM?
No, I'm on the exchange with those, but I'm kind of taking a different strategy with those.
If you want them off, just as a advice, you can use the Polkadot.js app and stake it directly from your ledger. So if you want, just put it on your ledger, stake it right from there.
From Binance?
No. Like, you take it right off your Binance, you put it on your ledger, and you stake it on the Polkadot.js wallet, like the app.
And so that's something I'm super interested in, right? Because I am trying to get off exchanges, just because those outages from the really big dump, even though I wasn't involved and I wasn't trying to sell, they really opened my eyes. And like, man, I made one mistake when I was trying to do the liquidity pooling, and I didn't buy enough of one, right? When you're like, because you have to, for this one, you have to supply an equal amount in value. 50, yeah. And it only cost me a fraction of, you know, for that transaction. Whereas if I did that with ETH, I would have been out between probably $20 to $60 easy. Mm-hmm. And then I still would have had to go back. Whereas I made this mistake because I'm still new to it, and I didn't get hammered by it. And I still love ETH. I think Layer 2's actually one of the things I've been looking at is like, I actually did buy, I haven't told Tim because he'll get mad because I'm only supposed to have so many coins, but Saylor, I bought that. I bought a pretty good bag. just because I'm looking for blockchains and Phantom, and like, so one of the big things I've been following more than NFTs is adoption, and I'm a huge F1 fan. Love F1. I was watching Baku this last weekend in Azerbaijan, and the one driver, he's got Phantom right on his halo for his drive. Like, so he's driving in there, and he's their brand ambassador. And this actually happened a few months ago, and I didn't see it. Then you've got McLaren, and they've got an onboarding Fiat to crypto app that's sponsoring them. And then you've got, I think it was Alfa Romeo. So you've got multiple F1 teams, which is the fastest, most prestigious, most money for racing. Then you have the Indy 500 car that I tweeted about, which was covered in Bitcoin. It was ugly as can be, but it was covered in Bitcoin, and it ran for the Indy 500, which is the biggest race arguably in the United States, other than maybe Daytona for NASCAR. And so, like, to see all this happening, and now you've got El Salvador, and then the other big news that I think is super important is a special advisor to Joe Biden had to disclose that he is between $1 and $5 million in cryptocurrencies in his net worth, which is approximately 25% of his net worth, and it's between Bitcoin and Filecoin. But he had to, like, I don't think, and he probably didn't want to divulge that, but he had to because of his position. So this is an advisor to the president, and he just said that 25%, at least on the books, of his net worth is in cryptocurrencies. It is everywhere, and it is like, that's why I am going to stay bullish long term. Like, it might not be the best now. That's why I'm pooling. I'm trying to accumulate as many coins as I can. But I think long term, like, we are super early, and it's like, okay, I've made some mistakes. Whew, I'm still early. Like, I still have a chance at this. Whereas, like, when I first got in, I kept buying because I was like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And now I'm much better. I do feel like I should change my handle to King of the Top Buys, because I did it. I didn't do it like at the very top with Matic, but I did it again. But now I'm pooling, like, I transferred it off Ascend. I'm pooling, doing liquidity and that. But like, I'm almost ready to change my name to King of the Top Buys, or
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, I'm doing this, and I don't feel so bad because there were two people who posted on Crypto Night in Canada about not shaking today. So I'm not the only dodo bird in the cage.
Oh,
I
did you miss
know.
a day?
60 days and one lost like 90 days or something. Like, Nate was one of them. And it's like, Nate.
I hit day 100 today. So I am rocking it.
Yeah, well, keep the phone away from Eddie.
Yeah.
The one big thing that I would say about what Neil was talking about is yield and learning how to farm on your tokens. I think that is one of the most powerful things that you can do, especially going into like a bearish trend. I think too many people are thinking like, oh, hey, we're going to go up. We're going to hit a market peak, in the end of September, just like how it happened in 2017. Everything's still good. Everything's still on track. But they don't recognize that it doesn't have to work the exact same way as 2017. If you look at our market cycles, 2013 and 2014 in no way represent what 2017 was. So why would we think that 2021 and going into 2022 is going to be anything like 2017? It could be dramatically different and dramatically longer. And hey, if we go down on a downturn and Bitcoin trades around 25 to 32K, 40K, if it trades in that zone for a couple of months and then picks back up in 2022, I'm not upset. I'm accumulating. So I think you should all be looking into how you can earn on your tokens, if you can be providing them as liquidity pools, if you can get into DeFi, that's the next step. And we are going to see a DeFi boom regardless of what crypto is doing.
I feel that too, for sure, because you've got so many people talking about it, and realistically, like, why wouldn't you put these, like, the reason why I did this is because I had such heavy losses because I bought all these new coins because I was so excited. It's like new tech, and these are going to be, and they're worse than when I sold them. And I could have gotten I could have been down a lot more, but that made me relook. And why wouldn't I take what I have and just get more of it, especially if, they're solid tokens. And if anyone's like Ryan, like you're kind of risk averse, right? Like there's stable coins right now that you could do at like 46% on DFIN. And it's Tether and USDC. And you get like 40 something % to provide liquidity for that, and they're stable coins. Like, that's something that because Tim's been talking about it makes a ton of sense if you have money to do it, because then you can buy the dip, or just wait until you want a dollar cost average in, and
it's simple stability, because as I said, for those of you who and welcome everyone, we're 35 minutes in with 63 viewers, 3 on Facebook Live, it looks like. But just for those of you who missed it at the beginning, I do have a video that I did with Tim Perry, and it has absolutely, Nance hasn't seen it yet, but nor have I edited it yet, but it has, I think it started to change my mind on maybe not chasing a coin, but rather farm what I've got and pick what I've got to farm. And I dare say that maybe the direction is going to be that in these times, people are going to be more, or it's going to be more appealing to farm and pool as opposed to go after the FOMO in the coins and this and that. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're still doing the ETH and the Bitcoin, but the altcoins, I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to pick a few. And I know that my at least from what I'm saying, and it's a true newbie approach to farming and pooling for me, because this is brand new. It's like, looking under the hood of a Corvette, saying, where's the freaking carburetor? Well, there's not one, but it's just something that I think there's a lot of stability there, and the USDT and the USDC stable coins seem to be the ones that are going to be the safest to go into, because they're not going to move much with the market. I don't know. It's to be continued. Let me put it that way. But I think we're going to start to see that our conversations are going to evolve more to the farming and pooling in these times over the summer, as opposed to the coins. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're heading for a summer lulls, especially for prices, and that's going to make a lot of people that are hungry for the prices to go up to think, okay, how can I earn, right? Like if you look at the multiple ways that I'm earning on P-Swap, I'm earning on Pancake Swap, and I'm earning on DeFi. Now, a big thing to recognize when you're earning on some of these platforms, the less used platforms are going to yield the higher APYs. And that also comes with a little bit more risk. So when you're using these newer platforms, specifically DeFi is trying to be a cross-chain platform. So they're going to have the Polkadot system, they're going to have BSC, ETH, and all of that fun stuff on one decentralized exchange, which is why I'm bullish on the idea. It's similar to Hot Cross. I have a Hot Cross on Pancake. I'm staking to earn more Hot Cross. So if I'm doing all of that, why wouldn't I be bullish on something like DeFi? So that's when I personally took a little bit of a loan from Celsius, collateralized my Bitcoin, went into Matic and DeFi, and started putting that pool in. That's going to more than pay back the loan plus profit. Then I'm just going to reinvest that back into pools and keep going until I have a nice bag of DeFi. So I'm not going to pay for any of the DeFi that I get. It's going to be all essentially free because the loan is paid off. It's paid for. So why wouldn't you do something like this?
So let me understand what you just said, Haas. You actually,
yes, please let me understand what you just said, Haas.
He's at the next level.
So here's
listen. Before I let Tim Perry loose, he's there. He's in the back room. He's smiling. He's got his. He just cracked his neck.
He's probably just happy that I'm in.
Oh, here it comes. Well, there you go. Do I understand that you took a loan out on your Celsius?
Yeah. So I have Bitcoin and Cell token that I collateralize. So let me tell you all the story of how I did this, right? When I started in cryptocurrency, very, very new, brand new, maybe had a couple grand in crypto at the time, not all that much, very modest amount. And I ended up taking a little bit of a loan on Bitcoin. And at that point, I had $200 worth of Cell token. Cell token was worth around 62 cents. I took a $500 loan on $2,000 worth of Bitcoin and put that into Cell token at $1. So obviously that went up. So that Cell token, that $500 ended up being a lot more. And now I collateralize that Cell token on top of my Bitcoin. So every 6 months, my Bitcoin comes off lock. I pay it back. I get my Bitcoin out, and then I relock it up back into another loan, because I pay a 1% interest because I do a 1 to 4 loan. So that means I'm putting up 4 times the collateral of the loan value. So if I borrow 1,000, I'm putting up 4,000. That's how that works. So it's a secured loan. It's exactly like taking a loan from your house. So I'll take that money and then reinvest it into another project. So the next time that I took a loan, once the Bitcoin came off, the one that I took the $500 from, that Bitcoin grew. So I was able to take $1,000 and I put half of it in Polkadot at $9 and then half of it in Cell Token at around $5.50. So obviously both of them shot up. And I made more than my interest that I would get on my Bitcoin at any point. So I did more. This is decentralized. Well, this is like a mix of CeFi and DeFi, but it's at its finest. This is exactly what the people that do with Aave. This is the exact same thing. So just recently, I've done 2 loans lately. I did a loan on my Bitcoin. So my Bitcoin came off loan. So I pulled more off that Bitcoin and I put it all into PokeSwap. So I put it into the PokeSwap DEX. I bought Zor, PSwap, put it up as liquidity, bought Zor and Val, and they're just farming tokens at a 230% APY. Once all that's lit up, I'm going to have a bunch of PSwap tokens that I'm just sitting on, which is great. I didn't pay anything for it. I took a loan for it. So on top of that, I just recently took a loan. This one's the exciting one. So I took a loan on my Cell token, just came out off of Lock. I earned $25 from Celsius for taking the loan because they had a big Bitcoin conference promo going out. So $25 right there. So that paid back the interest on the loan alone because the interest is around $28. I'm losing maybe $100 on interest because my Cell token is locked up. So I'm not earning on that. But if you look at how much I'm making on DeFi with that loan, I'm making 450%. So once that, all that lockup is done and I've completed my DeFi pooling, by then I'll have more than enough to pay back the loan and everything else will be completely free on DeFi. On top of that, most of my loans are paid off through DeFi channels anyway, like PancakeSwap and everything else. Like I just earned over time $1,000 worth of PancakeSwap and paid off $1,000 loan. Like it's very easy and simple to do some of these things. When you're doing some of the things, you're creating some events that could be taxable, but when you're taking the actual loan out, so if I take a loan out on Bitcoin, that's not a taxable event at all. So I don't have to declare that as income at all. So it's a good way to add to your bags and leverage your crypto. As long as you're doing it safe, you're doing it within your means. Obviously, my loans are small, within $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000. It's fairly easy for me to pay back, right? And if I get into some serious trouble, I have plenty of crypto to liquidate if it comes to that, but let's hope that it doesn't come to that.
So Tim, I was welcome and hello. I was telling everybody that we had done a video the beginning of the week, and just before you came on, I said I have a feeling that with what seems to be a lull coming into the summer and whatever else is going on within the cryptocurrency right now, I think that farming is going to sort of come to the top and be the new sort of way and direction that it's going to maybe give us the biggest bang for our buck for a while. And that you had changed my mind a bit on the farming because it was unbelievable the amount of money that is there to be made.
And yeah, I mean, and to jump in on what Haas just said, if you look, this is why I was high on Union Finance, right? Because Union has that COP protocol in which you, by using it, I still don't know the ins and outs, so it's not like, and I'm sure Haas would have, do your due diligence. I don't know enough about it, but I know that if you use the protocol, it brings down your over collateralization for these loans. So that way, if you were looking to spread out and get more lending from, like if he just said he did 4 to 1, right? So 4K to 1K, with Union, you'd bring that down, I think, half. And then you could take that other 2K, say, get another loan. But obviously, like Haas was saying, do it smart. He's totally right about that because we talked about this, and I've always been skating very tight on whether I wanted to take out loans. The only reason I'll do the loans is if I could do these stablecoin pairings, liquidities, farming, and then you can pay it back. And then you're basically eliminating 90% of your risk, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. There was a comment there. I'm lost. Sorry. Just to kind of put it in a way that people might understand. If you ever think of people saying that your interest rate on your secured loan on your house is so low that you should take a loan to invest, That's what I'm talking about. Just at a micro level. That's exactly it. So,
well, Verena and Natural Canadian, Tim and I did just do a video on basic farming on the Matic network. So you guys will see how ridiculously easy it is, and cost effective now. Because when you're on the side, it could cost you like, depending on what gas is, it could be, who knows, and then. Now it's like 3 cents. I think because obviously I was just getting on, and Neil was saying like he could have pillaged like 30, 40 bucks trying to get screwed by not, because you still sometimes have to fix slippage, which is weird. I don't know exactly how that works, but that's so what? It's 3 cents. I lost 3 cents. Oh my God. But if you did that with ETH on a day when gas was like $200, man, you'd hate crypto.
It gives you that wiggle room to make a mistake and learn, which is something I need without kind of getting, my pants taken off again after, the first few months. Like, that's why all this happened, because it was like
the pants didn't just come off, but we go into that, so you guys will be able to see that. Once what Haas was saying is, even like, I'll be talking to crypto buddies too, and they'll be like, I'm going to lend some money here, and they're going to go get some DAI over here, and they're going to like come back around here and do this. And I'm just like, what? But the funny part is, when you keep learning and you keep just watching videos on it, it's a lot easier than it sounds. Hence why Tim and I's video that's coming out will show you it's so bloody easy,
Even looking at DeFi, like the Polygon Matic stuff, and taking the Aave Polygon system, like I was looking into that, and it's a pretty fleshed out system. You can take some pretty gnarly loans out, and if you take a loan, you're earning maybe 6% on Matic to take a loan. You're like, not you pay them; they're giving you Matic to take a loan on Aave. It's
Matic Aave is the biggest beast right now. Like, partnership that I've seen in crypto in a while, like what they're going to do, because obviously, like I just heard this literally on the news the other day when they were talking about cryptocurrencies and the lack of liquidity. So that's what we were touching on last week. And now we're all talking about like the number one narrative. So we could go into all these other little niche narratives, but let's just stick with what these big guys are solving. And maybe it's that simple, sometimes it's staring at you right in front of the eyes. And that's why I keep putting on my Twitter. I'm like, it's that easy now. And 2 years ago, you had to go looking for the gems. When I first even did the podcast with you, I'm naming off all these obscure coins, and most of them are obviously retreated back to their price, if not down. And yet all the popular ones like Matic and all these are still flying high. Even Cardano, all these coins. So it's like, maybe it's this easy now. Maybe just getting in the ones that are tried and true, have products and stuff like that is the way to go. And I'd rather do that way and preserve my money than go into too many obscure coins now.
Well, and I like what you said just a little bit ago, Tim, where I think we have to all go back to where everybody that's on this call, there's 59 of us watching and on here. And I think we all have to go to, we're all at different phases of our learning. And if I was coming on here like I was 1 year ago right now, first learning about Bitcoin, I think I even put out on Facebook, I put out, does anybody know anything about Bitcoin? I think that's how I started it. Does anybody know anything about this? And then Tim Perry sends me, and he sent me this big one. I'm like, oh, he's way over my head. I had to go and do more research before I could go back to Tim Perry and say, okay, what are you talking about Taco? And so I want to encourage everybody, if you're listening to this and you have no clue what we're talking about, it's okay. The best thing you're doing is just here and trying to educate yourself a little bit. And the more you come back, the more you'll hear things. If you go and listen to HODLs on his channel, he breaks it down into charts. Ryan, he breaks everything down into you do still do that, right, Ryan? You still break things into charts?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
On and off.
Well, you used to break things into charts, and then if you in learning about all this stuff, I think that's the key thing. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Keep at it. Keep learning. And even we might tell you one thing today, and then next week things have all changed in 1 week, And now we're saying something else. Like, you know, like that's the way that this goes.
Michael Jordan didn't just all of a sudden step on the court and become the greatest, right? Like,
but to add on to all of that, right? Sure, you know, go back and learn and understand. But one of my biggest regrets easily in cryptocurrency is not getting involved earlier. So things like MetaMask, I was super hesitant. I don't want to learn this MetaMask stuff. Uniswap, Shmooniswap. I don't need this. No way. No, Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's it for me. Thanks. I missed out on 1,400 Uni tokens. I use MetaMask every single goddamn day now. So looking at it, it's just like, why? Why was I so resistant to just jump in? Sure, I didn't understand it. My best advice here is don't risk too much, right? Only risk what you're willing to lose in things that you don't understand, and then go full force in things that you do understand. So maybe it is you just dip your toe in. I didn't know much about DeFi and Matic. I learned from what I learned from Tim Perry and the videos that I watched after that. And then I dropped a little bit of money in, right? I dropped a small loan into DeFi and Matic to understand what this is. And until I finally got in and understood it, that's when it finally kind of clicked for me. And you don't have to do this with $1,000. It can be $100.
When you play with it, like when you actually, you know, because in all fairness, I wasn't far behind you, Haas. I've heard about Matic for 2 years. I was in it at a penny. And I was like, I would hear scam and I bought into some FUD. And then because of Retro Protocol and DeFi coming along, I started messing with it. I was like, whoa, you know, so once you play with it, but for like everyone, you know, hopefully this video that Tim and I do and people that are just getting used to it, this will be the best way, like Neil said and stuff, because you can screw up and it's only going to cost you 3 cents, you know, as opposed to ETH, you get one thing wrong, slippage or anything, and you're spending your whole week's pay on like,
well, my first transaction, because I dumped to just test the waters to understand, okay, like what's this DeFi dex? How's this work? So I put $200 in just to test it. I sent the $200 in. A couple of mistakes that I made. I sent it in all as ETH, no Matic. So I had no Matic in my wallet. So I had to go find a faucet to get myself some free Matic. But on top of that, when I switched it over, I switched all that ETH over to Matic when I wanted, you know, one-to-one to DeFi. That trade alone would have cost me, or the whole thing essentially on Ethereum would have cost me the entire $200, right? Instead, I paid a fraction of a cent for everything that I did.
And there are like little hacks right now. Like, I don't know if you're on our Crypto Night in Canada Facebook thing, so I'll just kind of segue.
I don't use Facebook.
Okay, but
neither do I.
you use SendX centralized exchange if you guys want to get into the Matic network with low fees. So, you know, like say if you come from a Fiat on-ramp, as many of us are because we're brand new, send your money from Shakepay or, you know, well, I'm using Shakepay now, so send from Shakepay to SendX, switch it over, buy Matic or Root, and then you can send it back to your MetaMask that's configured with the Matic network, which we also will teach in this video. And then you can just play around on DeFi and QuickSwap. And, you know, 3 cent gas fees. You could try farming, you know, do $50, like Haas said, get your feet wet. Check it out. I mean, because this is the future. So I was just telling Neil today, it was pretty funny. I sat my pops down now because obviously I've moved back in right now through this pandemic stuff. And I'm just kind of showing them how much money I'm making per day on averaging on all these farms. My dad was just mind blowing. He didn't quite understand it, but as an ex-stockbroker and stuff, he was just like, oh my God, this is the future. And I was joking that he doesn't have to worry that his son that's moved back into the basement's just become that guy who's going to play video games and eat Cheetos for the rest of his life in the basement.
It's pretty hilarious because if I look back, this is going to be funny. This is, maybe not a lot of people will be able to relate to this. Maybe some people in the chat though. When I look back at when I started buying Bitcoin, I was putting it in my parents' face. Look, I have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Look at this, right? And they're thinking, okay, like you really got to be careful here. Like this is your hard-earned money. Like what are you doing? And I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. I started talking to them about it, and they glazed over. Right? You guys know how I talk, and sometimes I can go way over the heads of people just because how I understand it is not how everyone's going to understand it, especially at like different skill levels. And I get pretty excited about things. So they're continuing thinking that this is all a scam and he's just going to do his crypto thing and finally fall out of it and everything else. And now it's not a scam. And now my dad's like, wow, like I never thought that this was going to happen. But, you know, like now I'm the one to call for investment advice. I'm the one to call for all of this like stuff all of a sudden, even though even my own parents thought that I was getting scammed. So I guess it is what it is. Trust your gut, trust your own research. Don't
I'm
let
looking
anyone
at
else tell you anything.
The comments here. Like I was pretty hesitant. Like Tim was like, he'd actually given up telling me to set up my Matic chain, and I went and did it after he stopped bugging me. And like, I was so resistant. I was like, screw MetaMask and Uniswap. I'm going to stay on exchanges. And like, I was so scared because it was so easy. Like, I honestly thought I messed up because of how easy it was to do it. But I was like, I'm making a mistake. It can't be this easy. Like, it has to be. And it is so easy.
You
it's
got
quicker.
Side too, though. Remember how many times when Neil first got his MetaMask, his like he'd go on Uniswap to try to buy Union and stuff, and it'd be like 9 hours later. Yeah. So that's also the speed of Ethereum as well versus the speed of Matic. Which it's funny when Tim and I did this video, it was the longest ever, which was like 3 minutes for some reason. But like usually it's 10 seconds, to confirm these things. Verena, no, you do not need a lot of money. You can start with whatever you want. So if you start with $50 and it's 300% APY, then you'll end up with 3 times the $50 worth of that coin at the end of the year, if the APY stays the same. So basically, let's say the price stays at $2, whatever you were farming or something like that, then you would have $150. If it goes down, then you would have less but you'd have more of the coins. One thing I just remembered too is when Tim and I we've talked about this, DeFi, I just found out today, it's actually, there is no locking in of the farming. So you can actually withdraw anytime, which was one of what I thought was the biggest downgrade.
You're just not earning for that period. So you have the total of, what is it right now? The lockup period is 14 days. All that lockup period is that's until you get your rewards. You can withdraw your liquidity pools at any time, but the thing is then you don't earn on it for the remainder of that time, right?
But so also that farm will also not be live anymore.
It'll also decrease over time. So this is one big thing that I mentioned back about getting in early, right? These APYs aren't going to be around for a while. DeFi specifically being 455% is not going to last. Next round, it's going to be maybe 350%. Next round after that, it's going to be 200%. They're doing a token distribution. This is how it's getting distributed. This is how you're getting the first initial tokens, and you're getting it by providing liquidity on the new system. This is why you're going to have higher APYs on certain dexes than others.
And the APYs technically are so high right now, it's a gift to the early adopters.
That's what it is. Exactly.
You're still going to be higher than any savings account probably ever in normal fiat. But, I still see a day when you'll be able to get 40% APY probably on a few different sites. But you'll see more and more like 15 to 20 probably averaging out as we get more into adoption and stuff like that. But that's still 10 times better than anything else you're gonna
I'd probably say, actually, if you put my entire DeFi portfolio, this would be actually a cool thing to put together just to understand, because I have PSwap. I'm earning roughly 230% there on my Zorn PSwap tokens, which, Neil, by the way, that's Polkadot. You need to get on there, man. I'll help you out, buddy. Okay. But something like that, I earn 230% there. I earn 120% over on PancakeSwap on just a stake pool, and then I earn roughly 70 and 50% on the 2 farms that I'm in there, and then 450% over on DeFi. And I'm on Scroll Finance now, but I don't want to show that just yet. But if you put the average there, it's over 100% on my DeFi portfolio is what I'm earning annually. So that's a huge rate. I would probably say anyone that would do DeFi as an amateur route, which should probably aim for an average about 40%. I think that's probably a good number to hit, and I think it's an easy number to hit, especially with the farms out.
There was once again, I've told you guys about these alpha leaks. I didn't go to this site because once again, I don't know this site well, but it was like Harvest Finance, and I'm just throwing it out there, but don't go to it. I'm just letting you know. But today they had 10,000% stable currencies. Well, that will drop by the end of the day. But like you jump in on those early, and you at least accrue like something quick, right? and Shukan or Shukan, I don't know how you pronounce it. Once you lock in a certain amount, you can add more. Yes, you can totally add more. And obviously, I won't get into it today because you guys are just going to have to see the video that Tim and I did. You'll see how easy it is, but you would just add it more the same way that we showed in the video.
Of the 3 pools I'm in, the lowest that I'm earning is 430%. So that's what got me in. The first one I got into was just under 700% when I got in, and that was after Tim and our friend got in, like a while too. So like, I'm definitely following this trail forever, and then hopefully I have enough to invest in other things that I'm interested in. But yeah, this has captured my attention.
So let me ask you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So let me ask you a question here, folks. If you were to take a portfolio and go to pool and farm it, what percentage would you put into a stable coin, and what percent would you leave in the other altcoins?
It's always going to be
none.
I'm G-Gen, so I've got very little stable coin farming.
You have to put $100. Let's say you have to put $100. There's a Matic USDC one, right? You have to put $100 worth of Matic and $100 worth of USDC to create the LP token. Now, remember this, guys. Not only, like, we're talking about farming. So in order to farm, you have to create a liquidity providing token, which is very easy. It will be in the video, okay? I'm not getting into it today. But once you do that, you can then farm that LP token. So not only do you get these rewards, which is the 300% APY of DeFi or Root, whatever they're offering, you also then get the liquidity providing fees every time someone uses that pair to trade on that swap. So let's say if you are, I'll use the Root DeFi LP right now pairing. If you own a farm in Root and DeFi, and you're also okay, if you have the liquidity providing token, Root and DeFi, and you then farm it, you get the rewards for the farming, but you also get fees just for every time someone trades Root DeFi on that pairing, on that exchange. You're providing liquidity, and you get paid every time someone uses that buy or sell trade. Doesn't matter if it's a buy or sell, you make money. So remember that. You're also making passive income on the liquidity providing part of that. So it's like, it's this huge synergistic thing where you're just making money.
A big way to think about that is when you use Binance, every time you conduct a trade on Binance, Binance charges you a spread, right? They charge you a fee every time you do that. How a decentralized exchange works is I'll pool my money, and Tim Perry is coming in with me. We have our money jumbled up in a big pool. We know how much estimate value of what we have in terms of one-to-one, but it's all just jumbled up into this big pool. Then people trade with that money, and the price will go up and the price will go down, and our value of the pools might mix and how much we have depending on the prices. But that trade is what we're getting the extra fee on. And then there's the liquidity pool. There was a comment there from Nate, and he makes a good point that high APYs should make your spidey senses tingle. Like what's going on here? Especially something over 400%. Even when I was getting on DeFi, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a little too crazy, right? But then I started reading about DeFi, and what DeFi is a brand new DEX that's come out, and it's a cross-chain DEX, so it has multiple different platforms that it's going to service. A service like that is pretty bullish, and when you look at the token distribution, this is exactly how they're distributing tokens. They're incentivizing people to put liquidity on their system, and they're paying them out in extra DeFi tokens as an early adopter, as a initial use. This is the exact same thing that I was talking about when I discussed I didn't use MetaMask because I didn't want to learn. This is exactly what I'm doing. I am now using MetaMask. I'm now using DeFi, getting in as an early adopter, getting my DeFi token. So when that DEX is up, I have these DeFi tokens that I didn't pay anything for. And now I can move my money to another farm if I want, keep it in that farm, do whatever I want, and use that DeFi token within the DeFi platform.
And it is a marketing strategy. Like when I first got in the Matic DeFi one, it was 1,500%. It's now about 300. Usually drops off the face of a cliff very fast. So you're definitely right, Nate. Like, and I just told you about that 10,000 APY one. I wouldn't touch that site at all. Whereas DeFi, I know who the team is. I've done a lot of due diligence on the team. They're really close with the Matic team. They're setting up with some big things. So I know, and the tokenomics, like Haas said, for DeFi is one of the best tokenomics I've seen for dexes, and to how they're pulling this off. You know, they have these rounds of farming rather than just straight farming all the time. Also, their we also have touched on, yes, you're getting 300% APY, but it's a vested interest. You do not get it all when you get out. You get 20% right when you claim, and then you have to every 2 months come back and manually get it. Forget about that. You could be
but even when you look at the release schedule of something like that, it's good to have a staggered release schedule. That way, what they're trying to do there is they're trying to avoid people dumping on the community, right? Getting all the rewards and selling it immediately. It's actually a pretty good tactic.
They just added a pretty big network in Luna, and then they also added Luna's US stablecoin, stablecoin. And like, that's a pretty well-known coin. It did really well. So like, they're adding pretty solid projects as well, because Luna has its own ecosystem. Like, that was recently added, I think, yesterday. So it's like, they seem like they're doing a lot with a lot of different people. And, you know, the more they can, you know, jump between different chains, the more lucrative it's going to become.
So, Verena, how long do you keep the money in the farm? Like Owen's basically right. It's 30 days. But after that farm ends, they usually start new farms. But you have to manually go. So, you know, just keep notes. Me and Neil, we got June 22nd our day where we have to go and...
It's in my phone.
Sorry?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tim.
Take our coins out, and then they'll start a new farm. And you'll just do the same thing all over again. It's 3 cents to redo. So it's not a big deal. Not to mention you'll claim 20% of what you get. 2 months later, you'll claim more and stuff like that. It's just a system to keep the ball rolling without, like Haas said. The one problem, like I like QuickSwap right now, and I still think DeFi probably long-term outpaces QuickSwap, but still I like QuickSwap. The problem with QuickSwap is the whales can come in, get all these crazy gains off the farming, and then sell that day. Whereas we have to wait 30 days to claim with DeFi, which is good. And we'll see a dump probably every 30 days, so be it. But it cushions the constant price suppression.
There was one question by Nate there. You know, is there one service that I would say is stronger than the other? And it depends on what you would classify as stronger. I would always recommend, and Gary, if you're in chat, you probably know this, I would always recommend people go for something easy like PancakeSwap first. One, you have the low APYs. Two, BSC, right? It's a known entity working on this project. A lot of good project people. It's a really fleshed out DEX, really easy to use. It's nice to dip your toes in and learn how liquidity pools work. So if you're afraid of using DeFi, or if you're afraid of all these other things, go PancakeSwap, go learn. There's great pairs there that you can put up. I have BNB and Cake. I have BNB and Reef. But you can pick a number of other ones. You can get APYs anywhere between 50 to 120%, depending on what you're looking for. But eventually, people are just going to open up DeFi portfolios. I know people are a little bit shy about it now, but I promise you, in the next year or so, you're going to want to be like full force in DeFi. Maybe not all of your portfolio. Like if I actually like put a dollar amount or like a percentage amount, I'd probably say only maybe 10% of my holdings, maybe even less than that, is actually in DeFi.
Oh, man. I just went full deep today.
Yeah,
100% DeFi. That's what I am.
I just want to make sure I'm alive out of this. You know what I mean? So
30% of that total portfolio is U.S. dollar stable currencies. Just making there's no, I've got 30% of my portfolio just in USDC and Tether, making the passive income for that. So, and I'll throw it back in a normal coin and play that differently, but I am technically in DeFi with it. So. The only advice I have against Pancake, if we're talking to all the people though that are throwing $50 at it, there was a guy on Crypto Night in the Facebook page today, and he minds his pennies. So it's it's $3 and it's not a big deal. But if you're only playing $50 and you're not doing things, be careful because you could chop out if you get to, your transaction doesn't go through. You could go through $10, $12 on your $50.
I think it depends, right? I wouldn't say so. Listen, I harvest my cake every single day, and the 3 cents that I pay to harvest my $20, $30, $40, whatever I made that day, it's no skin off my back. If I make a mistake, that's 6, 9, 10, 12 cents, whatever. It's not a big deal. Sure, it's not as low as Matic, but it's an easier barrier of entry for people to get their heads around. And that's the only reason why I say go there first and understand that. I would never recommend, if you're just getting into DeFi, as much as, sorry, Tim, if this, agree, but as much as like I like DeFi and I'm in DeFi, it's still new. It's still slightly speculative. There is still competitors being QuickSwap, being Hot Cross, and other cross-chain dexes. Not so much QuickSwap being cross-chain, but you get my drift. So it is still speculative because it's still new. Now, that being said, the speculative stuff is often the highest reward, right? Which is exactly why I'm in it. But if you're brand new, probably not where I'm going to send you first, personally. But like, I totally get it if you jump in there.
Much newer. I mean, we're talking difference of a couple months. So.
Sure, a couple of months, but a couple of months on a dev team. Well, we're talking a couple months in terms of like comparison to DeFi, or DeFi specifically, not so much QuickSwap. QuickSwap's a little bit more solidified in the space. They've been around for a lot longer than DeFi has, right? Not saying that DeFi is not going to go places. I've done my research in DeFi, and I think it's an excellent DEX, and I think it is going places. I think the Matic system's super bullish. I even think the version or the ETH 2.0 FUD is more or less bullshit, so I don't think we really have to worry about that. But you know, it's probably not where I'm going to send like somebody that has never done liquidity pools before. Probably going to say, go play with a couple $100 on PancakeSwap, learn it there, and then come talk to me when you're ready to go into one of the big boy tools, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Nate wants to know if anybody wants to talk about CoinSeed, the platform that promises high APY. Has anybody heard of it?
No.
Nope.
Nobody's heard of it, Nate. You're ahead of us all.
But like I said, you got that Harvest Finance today, which was 10,000% on stablecoins. Like that's insane. But I'm not going to put my hard-earned money on something. Like I get where Haas was coming from. And two months, like, you know, I corrected myself. 2 months in crypto is like 84 years in regular times. So.
It's pretty crazy, right? A lot of people look at some platforms being so solidified. Even me, like I'm as guilty, right? You make a good point. It's not long that Pancake has been around. The BSC is only a couple months old. I think it came out in February. But you know, the only reason I suggest people to go there, and this is the exact same thing with the lower APYs. You're going to get lower APYs on Pancake. Why is that? Because more people use it. There's higher daily usage of it. It's one of the most used dexes out there, which is why I recommend it. That being said, the most used dexes and the older dexes are going to give you the lower APYs. They're not going to give you as much yield. So yeah, if you want to make more, you want to learn a little bit on DeFi and take a little bit more risk, absolutely. That's what I'm doing right now, but I didn't start there. So I'm giving everyone the advice that essentially I took. I started with, you know, easy stuff. I started with Uniswap until I couldn't stomach the fees. Then I went to PancakeSwap, and it just spiraled from there. So,
yeah, and how I just come to the conclusion on the like I said, totally speculative with DeFi and stuff. But you know, regarding the team, right? When I vetted most of the team, I'm like, man, these are a lot of guys that would have to be hiding from a lot of people that are going to try to kill them if they try to run away with people's money. Doesn't mean that it won't happen and that it hasn't happened before, but that's why I don't get into, you know, if I see this Harvest Finance with 10,000% APY and I don't know who the developer is, I don't know who anyone on the team is, I'm not going near it with a 10-foot pole. But, you know, and like I said, DeFi is still a small cap. It's actually the best performing IDO this year. All the other IDOs that we've been talking about, we've mentioned so many over time, unions including, they are doing really bad. Like all those small caps are getting hammered, but yet the only coins that are still up basically in that small cap range are Root and DeFi. So that kind of shows you the narrative that's really strong right now. And I mentioned with Sean Edwards, I don't know if he's in here today, but you can see all the money migrating from ETH and Binance chain, and they've dropped since that dark day in May, and Matic's still going up. So there's a migration and exodus happening. So
that's a good question, Tim. What shakes that stability in those two? What would have to happen for that to be not so appealing and to lose its appeal.
So
the root and the
well, they would have to obviously
volume.
not have any good use case or anything, but right now they've got these great farms, they've got cheap swaps, they've got, you know, you can get Luna, which is a massive move today. So
and their stablecoin, like,
and yeah, I mean, there's obviously it's what their use case that they're offering, but also, you know, like I mentioned on the Facebook page today, you have, so you're the two competitors that competitors, whatever you want to call it. ETH right now, we already know all the problems with that. We don't have to really get into it. But Binance Chain, which we haven't got into it, it's a bit more FUD than I think it really is. But there's a lot of more rug pulls happening right now on Binance Chain, unfortunately. There's a lot of coding issues and stuff because everything's a fork of a fork of a fork with a lot of those coins right now. Not to say that QuickSwap and everything isn't a fork of Uniswap. But I'm just saying, so far we haven't seen, and it's too early to tell, and it could exactly happen to Matic. So I'm not saying it's perfect in that sense. Binance Chain is definitely a lot more centralized than Ethereum. That's the biggest problem for a lot of people who are like true crypto, you know, punks. That, you know, Matic still is more centralized than I'd like it to be due to what's called a multi-sig address and stuff like this, where you have how many people can sign off on the change in code and stuff, but Binance Chain is very centralized. So if like Binance Chain can go down, you know, whereas if you're on ETH, you don't really go down.
Well, the smart chain can't necessarily go down. Being centralized just means all the nodes are owned by Binance, right? It's run by Binance. That's correct, but it doesn't mean that it has to go down. That being said, exactly like what you're saying, like, yeah, if you're a hardcore decentralization, it's probably not going to be great for you. The reality is that, you know, if you ask a normal person, hey, what do you think about decentralization? They're probably like, what the fuck is that? Sorry, but you get my point. Like nobody really, unless they actually understand what the purpose of a decentralized anything, decentralized internet, decentralized money, unless they actually understand what that means, they're probably not going to care, which is the sad part about it. But if you look at like my portfolio specifically, like how much of my portfolio is BNB? Well, really not a lot, right? So as much as I use that BNB, my top DeFi platform used in terms of how much money is on there is probably easily at this point PokeSwap is where I have most of my money. Now I'm only earning a 230% APY. I say only, I know, but like it's a 230% APY where I'm earning PSwap tokens. I'm earning this token that I'm extremely bullish on this network that I'm extremely bullish on. I'm really impressed with the substrate code base, how everything's worked with the Polkadot ecosystem. So sure, I'm going to put way more money into that, even though I'm getting lower APYs, because I expect where that DEX is going to go is light years beyond anything that's gone before. So yeah, I'm absolutely fine with putting a little bit more there because I trust it a little bit more. Even though there's higher APYs, it's a little bit higher risk. So I maybe don't trust it as much to put as much money in. That doesn't mean that it's bad in any way, but.
Okay, and so Haas, having said that, Rich here who's asked a question, what's the most easiest for people to start with? Would you say it's Polkadot?
No. So I would absolutely recommend anyone to get into PokeSwap if you're willing to learn a little bit. It's not hard. You have to bridge it over, but there are slight technical aspects of getting your wallet set up and then opening up the Polkadot.js thing to earn your fees for now. That being said, if you get in now, you're earning 230% on your Zorn PSwap pairs. And that's 230% of PSwap that'll be released to you once we're able to grab it from the exchange. Which they're working on displaying our rewards so we can earn them or so we can claim them, but we're actively earning them within the code-based substrate wallet. But I'd probably say the easiest one to get into, because all of that probably sounded like mumbo jumbo, is just get into PancakeSwap. It's the easiest one. Go cake BNB, buy a little bit of cake, buy a bit of BNB, make a liquidity pair, put it in there, earn a little bit of cake every day, go harvest it, go do whatever you want, re-harvest it if you want, buy more LP tokens, just keep adding it, and then start learning other dexes. Easily branch out. You can easily branch out at that point into, say, DeFi. I had a friend of mine specifically that, you know, when I first put up a liquidity pool in Uniswap, I thought there's no way that I'm going to be able to teach my friend this. And sure enough, I had to help him every step of the way to actually get him to put up liquidity pools. Finally got him onto PancakeSwap, taught him the first time. The second time he showed me how to do it. The third time he was just doing it himself. And then next thing you know, he's just like all over the place. Like, I'm in this and I'm in that. I'm like, well, okay, bud. It's just an easy way for you to grasp the idea of how liquidity pools work, how impermanent loss works. And then you're able to assess more risk and have a bit more of a knowledge base to go into some of these riskier things. So,
and Richard, can someone drop a link? He's saying, so basically the video that Tim and I are going to do is obviously about Matic, but it's exactly the same. It would work exactly the same with ETH or Binance Chain. So I'm going to send Tim a link right now on how to configure your, if you don't already have it, because you need to have a wallet. I don't know if you already have MetaMask or what it is, but if you have MetaMask, you would have to configure it first before you can interact with doing all those farms and stuff, even if you're on Pancake. But you could do the same with Matic. It's all the same. So if you watch the video on us, you can go and you already know what to do on PancakeSwap. I would still recommend then going and finding a Pancake specific video on it and stuff. But it's all the same. Once you've learned how to swap on Uniswap, then you'll know how to swap on DeFi, how to swap on PancakeSwap. It's all the same. So that's easy. It's just the networks change and a little bit of like different stuff.
He says he's got
okay.
He's got Meta and B Chain. So
okay. He's already rolling.
Yeah. I would just like, it doesn't have to be just one, right? You know, like go play around with Matic. I should have gotten into Matic earlier. That's one thing that I regret, but I also wouldn't regret not getting into the PSwap DEX, right? I'm hugely bullish on where that ecosystem is going to go.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's not going.
It's so funny because genuine in the comments. I don't know if anybody's been watching him. Yeah. He's making. I don't know what you're genuine. I love your comments. You're very engaged here, but you're all over the map with. You say we shouldn't. It's too risky, but then you're saying we should do it. So I guess I wanted to throw it out for all of you guys because he's making some really great comments here about. He said something to the effect of. I'm going to go back here. He starts to say, we Canadians are so passive. Let's get rich. This is life-changing wealth opportunity in the next 5 years. Then he says he prefers watching Americans. They just want to become rich like himself. But up earlier, he was saying that crypto's too volatile. So I'm like, and he wants to know some projects that will provide financial freedom. I'm literally going up because I'm all over the same, because he's saying warning. And all about that this is too, and I'm not sure if he's responding to other people's comments or because he's saying these small exchanges will be gone. But if you're looking for big opportunities, genuine, you're going to have to take some of these major risks. I just have to laugh because you're all over the map, and I'm trying to follow along with what your actual question for the group is and what we can help you with, and so. Oh, are you saying farming? Whoops, farming is too risky?
I mean, okay. Here's just food for thought. He says $600 investment can make you a millionaire in 5 years. No offense, $600 in Bitcoin. You're not going to become a millionaire anymore off $600 in Bitcoin. You're not going to do it on Ethereum. You're not going to do it on.
I mean, eventually, let's talk 30 years down the road, maybe. But you know. I
mean, it's all speculative.
Right? Anytime soon.
Okay, everything's interpretive, but your odds are extremely not in your favor if that's how you want to go that way. Whereas there's still a random, and I hate even saying it, I mean, if you would put $600 in SHIB, you'd be a multi-millionaire at the top there in 3 months. Now, I'm not saying get into the degen coins. I'm just saying risk and rewards and fortune favors the brave. So, you know, if you haven't tried farming yet and you think it's too risky, then you don't know yet. Because just like Haas used to say, like I remember last summer hearing about Uniswap and everyone was getting rich off Uniswap. Every single coin that came off Uniswap was going nuts. And my stubborn head was like, no, I don't want to learn this. I don't want to learn it. Da-da-da-da-da. And of course, I get in at the top of Uniswap in September and lose pretty much half my portfolio. Had I gotten in August, any coin I pretty much could have gotten in would have made me probably 100x gains, and I'm not even like 100x easily. There was so many 1000x gains going off in a month. So if we don't keep learning in this fast-paced industry, then we will get left behind. So it's your choice if you want to think farming's too risky. You could find a reasonable, you could go on Uniswap, which is a very much more established exchange, find a stablecoin pairing, get paid in other coins, therefore you're not even putting any money out there, and then hopefully maybe those coins go up. I mean, there's so many ways to go in at a more cushioned level, but like, it's all a risk. I mean, to the average person, it's genuine. If you told them you're even in Bitcoin, they're going to tell you it's a scam. It's so risky. Get the hell out, right? So it's like, it's the entry level. And
That's right. And we all think Bitcoin is the tamest of all things at this point in time.
Well, and Jacob just said Telcoin. Check it out, dude. I know all about Telcoin. One of my good crypto buddies was telling me about Telcoin when it was 0.0003. And now it's 4 cents or whatever, and you can farm that on the Matic network. So if you like Tel so much and you want to make more free Tel, get over there.
Speaking of farming, it wouldn't be a night without a dad joke, and this one's killing me.
Okay, go.
Until the cows come home.
Are we waiting for more? Or?
Okay, until the crypto comes home. I've been holding on to that like a loose heart all night.
Oh boy!
Nancy, do you have the mute button on your side, or?
Pardon? I will mute him. I will mute him. And I love what Owen says here. You know, last year Bitcoin was way too risky for me. Today, Bitcoin bores me. It is true. I remember last year saying to Tim, okay, this is a big risk. Our whole family is like, thinks we're nuts. Yeah, they were like, oh, you be careful, that Bitcoin, man. Anyways, now it's like, if they only knew how risky we were. Like, it's like
the metaphor I keep using is ETH and Bitcoin are the gateway drugs.
Yeah. Actually, I know the TheGreatWhiteVaper's been pretty quiet tonight, and I was just this week I've been watching Theta and T-Fuel and smiling for you. Especially T-Fuel, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you should tell us all a little bit more about Theta and T-Fuel so that everybody knows what it is. Because you talk about it, but I'm not sure people really get what it does.
I sent a link to Tim. Did you watch that video or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Did you post it to Crypto Night in Canada?
No.
It's just the gas coin.
Would you do that, sir? Because that explains it perfect.
The one big thing that to understand about Theta, right? Like I don't know the tokenomics on the gas token, but one of my friends have actually like mentioned numerous times about the Theta gas token. So I know there's big things and it's going to go higher. But the thing about Theta, you got to understand, is it's this decentralized video platform. It's exactly like what YouTube is, but decentralized. There's actually a co-founder of YouTube working on it, like as one of the founders. There's a lot of bullish outlook on Theta. It wouldn't, like, I would honestly think, and at this point, I am thinking YouTube's days are numbered, and I will one day be exclusively on the Theta platform. I fully believe that within the next 5 years. So.
Their mainnet's at the end of the month too, is it not?
That's why T-Fuel's going crazy right now. Everybody wants to stake that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Elmo's got he's put something on here. Guys, have you watched the Netflix show called Startup? It's very interesting, related to crypto. Has anybody seen that?
I just saw it today and didn't know what it was about. So now I know.
I got pissed off in the first little bit of it because I can't remember what it was. They made a mistake about crypto, and I was like, no. So crypto ruined all crypto shows for me because every time somebody says like one thing that's slightly incorrect, I'm like, no. You ruined it. You broke the third wall or the fourth wall. Yeah.
Anyone watch The Blacklist? I don't watch a lot of TV, but that's one show I've gotten into. They always are up to like.
I love that.
But once again, it goes with obviously, I'm sure you guys have touched on it. I've seen it, but the chess game has been leveled, gone up a level today with El Salvador. I think honestly, that's the biggest news to date, and people don't understand because it's going to set that precedent where all these other little countries are going to. Because I'm just calling it now. El Salvador is going to see a lot of benefits from this. And all these other impoverished countries who have had economic hitmen coming after them probably most likely from where, to take down their countries, are going to start using this as legal tender. And I don't know if Haas has done more research, or Tim can enlighten me, but there's this gossip going around that if Bitcoin becomes legal tender, then that helps our taxes.
In what way? So,
well, you understand. I don't care much about taxes.
They said there was going to be no capital gains on Bitcoin there in El Salvador because it's currency.
Tender?
Yeah,
that's right.
So because
you're right.
So there'd be no capital gains on it, which should bring
So it's not the same way because don't you pay capital gains on regular currencies, but it doesn't matter that it's not a legal like hypothetically, if I bought the United States dollar in Canada and it went up and I made a gain, I'm still paying a capital gain, but that's because it's not legal tender in my country. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, I get it.
Yours is more of an that's more looked upon like an investment, almost like a stock, where they're looking at it like legal tender. It's a different thing altogether. And it's interesting. I wasn't sure whether to bring this up or not, because last week when we brought something that was controversial up, it went down a rabbit hole. But I'm kind of thinking maybe we will go out on a limb and bring something controversial up again. But really and truly, like, we talk about decentralization and why we want to get into all this decentralization. The government is doing such a bang up job misinforming us all that it sheds a shadow of a doubt on everything that they're talking about. Like, I go back to inflation. I have to go back to inflation because it's in my face. It's in my face. I want to give you an example of something that happened. So we have a contract with one of the governments, one of the provincial governments here in Canada. I'm not going to say which one because it doesn't matter. They're probably all the same. And one of the things that we have in our contract is about our protein prices. And if we do short-term contracts with them because protein is a commodity and it's so volatile. So we have something built in there that if the price of the protein goes up, we can take an increase on our contracted price with them. So we had to go to them and say, okay, the price of protein has gone up and we want to take our increase. They told us that the only thing we could do was go to what the posted on their government site. It said that the inflationary price had gone to. I said to them, I've got invoices here that are much higher than what your government site is showing. And you are the government. And I'm telling you right now, government is posting that our inflation is less than 2%. I have commodity items coming in higher than 10% increases. The government is not telling us, they're not posting things up for the general public to see how bad inflation really is. And it's coming. And that's just one example, one provincial government, one situation. I could go down the path and I could get very passionate about it because I'm telling you right now, folks, our dollar is buying less and less and less and less. You just can't see it yet.
It's important,
but I'm seeing it.
Yeah, it's important to know this because especially like if you look back at 2008, what kind of good monetary policy came out of 2008? Nothing, absolutely nothing. If you look at the administration back then, it was far heavily favoring the banks. Hank Paulson basically getting the right to print free money at that point. You look at Jerome Powell, and everyone props Jerome Powell up as this very smart individual. He's the know-all. He's going to lead us out of a depression and recession. The only thing they're doing to lead you out of a depression and recession is print more money. And then they're telling you in the same on the same token that, oh, hey, inflation isn't real. We don't have to worry about inflation. Inflation has been statistically low for tons of years. We have plenty of wiggle room here. We don't have wiggle room. If you look at the cost of living, cost of tuition, cost of bread, cost of gas, cost of everything, like it just living is more expensive. I live in London, Ontario. Good Lord. I make a decent income and I can barely live here in this city. Like it's unreal where we're going, and we're going to continue going down this track regardless of what the government tells you. If the government says that there's no inflation, there is.
And I mean, and here's the thing. Inflation is just a hidden tax that nobody seems to understand. I mean, the truth of the matter is, here's the truth of the matter. it's not normal for people to gain 200% on their home in a year. Like, that's not normal. It's not normal to grow your asset price. And the only thing that does is it makes those of us that have assets, and I count myself lucky enough to have an asset, it makes those of us that have assets have way more, and those people that don't have assets have way less. Because us that have assets, say I owned an apartment building. I don't own an apartment building, but if I did, because my apartment building's worth so much more, I can charge more rents to people whose money is being like it 1 year later, 1 year from when I first heard about Bitcoin and first heard about this being a hedge against inflation, I was like so bullish on it. And people at the time were like, inflation. And I'm like, no. It's here. We're in it. Anyways.
Well, what's the one big thing to recognize, even with like the prices going up for homes, because that's a really good point. But let's look at what the signs of a dying economy are. And I'm actually going to be putting out a video in the next couple of weeks about this specifically. But what are the signs of a dying economy? The signs of a dying economy is arguably not the signs that you would expect, right? Back in Germany, when they were just printing marks after the war, they were just printing dollars everywhere. The economy boomed. Everything went sky high. Everything was fantastic. Everyone was making crap tons of money, but there's too much in it. And then it crashed. Right. And then all those marks were worth nothing, absolutely nothing. What happened with Venezuela? The exact same thing. Venezuela had the top performing stock market of all time, of the globe at that point, in that time of moment, was the highest. They crashed to nothing. What's happening to the United States stock market? If you're telling me, in all honesty, that DoorDash is worth the amount that it was worth on its IPO, no, absolutely goddamn not. There's a high amount of inflation, high amount of money going into corporations that they're borrowing against the government, this freshly printed money. They're rebuying into stocks, inflating prices, and the prices just keep going up and up and up. These are the signs of a dying economy, not a healthy economy like Jay Powell or whoever else is trying to sell you on a healthy, good economy. It's not real.
Let's just keep it.
You just keep it simple?
Yeah, I just keep it simple. If you guys were dating a girl or a guy that lied to you the amount of times that the government has, would you continue listening to them? No. You'd start planning your getaway. So like Genuine says with solar panels, you either be proactive or you're reactive, right? So we all know, and someone put, I don't think that Bitcoin and crypto is going to be the biggest hedge against inflation. At first, I don't think it is. I think it's going to be absorbed. I think it's going to take a brunt punch to the face too, just like every other market probably will with all the stupid things we're doing with the market. But eventually it's going to level off a lot better and people will start realizing and probably flock to it. Maybe that's just my utopian way of seeing it, but
no, I'm very passionate about it because I just feel like it's like a lie we're telling ourselves. It's a lie we're telling ourselves that things are okay and that the economy is reopening and things are getting back to normal. And I think it's a momentary piece of, yes, are we happy that things are opening up in Ontario? Yes. We are happy people are going back to patios. We're happy about all that stuff. But the truth of the matter is, and we look to what happened in the US when they opened up as a reflection of what's going to happen up here. The labor shortage going on right now is unreal. Like when I say this, this is no joke. We had to the point where we had sales reps going into one of our affiliate companies picking cases because they didn't have people showing up for work. So we couldn't get food out the door if we didn't have the sales reps in picking cases. Like these are problems. There's places that in the US, they have to shut their doors at 6 o'clock at night because they don't have anybody willing to work.
They're paying $100 for applications too. Like just
they are.
Yeah.
And part of this is the stimulus. You can't keep putting stimulus into the economy and expect anybody to be incentivized to go and work. Why would you? Why would anybody go to work if they didn't have to?
The master plan is totally to get people dependent on the government. Have you sit at home? Have you do nothing? Obviously, robots and stuff are coming. You can laugh at me, but I mean, artificial intelligence, all that stuff's going to take half the jobs off anyways. I mean, there's already a McDonald's that has no functional human beings at all in Arizona. So all these things are going to happen whether you like, yeah. There's, I mean, for the restaurant industry, I only know this because I've bartended for so long, but there's cooks that there's New York, they have robots cooking food, and they say you can't even blame the owners. They don't want people back because the robots make less errors, save less on food costs, cook a perfect steak pretty much like 99% of the time. So why would you go back to humans? You can't even blame people who own businesses for going to robots because they save costs. So you see all these things and you see everything shaping up, and you know it's about to be a giant SHIT show. And that's why, obviously, I think most of the people in here are aware of that, or else you wouldn't be in crypto or looking at these ways.
Right.
You know, and we get different kinds of viruses, right?
I will say to balance on the other side of the coin, because I think fundamentally, and I try to stay away from policies and everything else, because people get vicious when they understand exactly what people's like thoughts are. I'm pro having social assistance programs when it's needed. I'm pro taxation when your income is over a specific amount, right? Like if you're one of the millionaires, absolutely, I'm all for taxing your personal income. Why the hell not? It builds infrastructure. It builds up the country. And UBI and having a basic income isn't a bad thing when the price of everything is so inflated to the point where you can't make ends meet with two jobs. That becomes the problem. When it is the single mother who can't go to school, can't do anything, working two jobs, trying to make ends meet, child bonuses are barely even breaking it. The deadbeat dad isn't paying child support. What are they supposed to do, right? It's good in the case where the elevated class is able to subsidize their education, right? And I'm not talking about free handouts, but I am talking about like government subsidies in terms of free schooling, free healthcare, normal things that maybe in Canada don't seem as radical, but in the United States seem to be this, that's so terrible. But I don't know. I feel like the Nordic countries kind of have it down pat to the fine line. But there's a way to do this when you're not in a deficit like what the United States is doing. The difference here is the United States is printing this money and just giving it to people as stimulus. That is bad because you're just creating money out of nothing. I want
to mention what Owen said here, because I watched an Anthony Pompliano video that really broadened my mind a lot. And one of the things he said is his guest, I think his name was Jeff. Jeff said that we live in by nature, a macro deflationary society, but the governments are trying to manipulate it so that it's inflationary. And it's to Owen's point. All technology is making it so that our lives, there was some study that was done, and we should have by now been at a 15-hour work week. With the amount of technology that's been put in place, that should have been a 15-hour work week for us all to have work-family balance. That's why technology was invented originally, was to make it easier so that we didn't all have to work like lunatics. Yeah. But that's not what's happening, because the government's been manipulating and forcing this inflationary instead of deflationary. Anyways, we don't have to talk about this. And I know I don't want to get into politics, but that is the reality of what's going on here. Is this is going to get worse before it's going to get better, really.
You can't separate crypto from politics, though, because it's literally wrapped in politics. So we don't, at least, like, we've spent a lot of time talking about crypto tonight, so I don't feel too bad. Like, politics is woven into everything. There's policies. I mean, just today with obviously El Salvador, you had Trumpity Dumpity saying it's a scam. You had Elizabeth Warren coming out and talking about how it's draining it, and yada, yada, yada. And she mentions the environmental, and it's like, did you not even hear what El Salvador is going to be doing with their mining? Like,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like, this is what I talked about. The chess game is going up a level now, and it's going to get crazy because other countries are going to start adopting it as legal tender. And of course, this is where regulation is going to come flying in, but they're not going to be able to fight it. But it's going to be this push-pull of like us watching our portfolios go up and down like yo-yos, because it's going to be like FUD versus good news versus FUD versus good news. But just a quick thing, I had Tim post a really good 2-minute like Englishman in English Parliament just lay down the truth about how the banking system works in like 2 minutes. and he just owns the whole thing. So
it's from like 2 months ago, wasn't it? Approximately, it's a little while ago. This speaker in the British Parliament.
Oh, it goes back a few years. I've been holding on to that point for a long time.
Here's the one thing to remember: everything fiat is literally nothing. It's literally based on human trust, right?
Yeah.
Think of how much you can actually trust another human being. Honestly, think about that. I can barely trust my own brother, for God's sakes. I'm not going to trust fiat currency. There's no way in hell I'm going to trust fiat currency with my future. And the whole point of inflation, right? Your dollar is worth less, but when have people gotten raises, right? I get maybe a 1% to 2% raise depending on performance, whatever it is. What's inflation? 2%. I'm barely breaking that. I'm barely making inflation on my own money, right? That's my raise is nothing. I'm getting paid the same regardless of the 2%. This is how this scheme works. They continuously reduce the buying power of your dollar over and over and over, and you're working for less and less and less. But it seems like the same amount because it's the same dollar amount in your bank account. But your hydro is more, your bread is more, everything costs more. That's the game. That's the trick. And they're doing it just to rip you off.
Well, I mean, Megs makes a great point, though. We can't blame everything on the government. And the truth is, and I heard this quote before, that the world is corrupt because people are inherently corrupt. And I can even tell you from my own personal, because I'm an honest person, I got into bartending. When I first got into bartending, holy test of character. You know, when you're working at like a club bar, I would say 80% of the bartenders are skimming money from the bar. You know, and I'll admit, when I first got in, young age, I started doing it. I became Mr. Zen and Mr. Karma and didn't like it and never did that again. But like, I started to see how people inherently will take those shortcuts if they can. You know, so like that's the whole libertarian view that I take. A libertarian believes that like we take care of ourselves, we believe in our own moral code, and we live by that. Whereas too many people in this world now are just screwing each other over. And the government's just laughing as they're doubly screwing us over, right? It's like that meme with the gun pointed to the person who's not, you know, the person in front's got a gun behind them. Someone's got the gun behind them. And then there's a sharpshooter up in the stands about to take them out, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, it's true. Well, you know what? Ryan Hemsley has said nothing tonight. I'm a little worried about him. So I'm thinking maybe
I have had a genuine week of no news, just sitting on the road. Actually, when I was driving through, it was just about 25 minutes outside of Regina, Saskatchewan, when I threw HODL's Saturday live stream on my radio, and that's about as much as I've gone into crypto.
Where you going,
and
buddy?
even stocks this week.
Where are you driving to?
I was driving from Calgary to Ottawa.
Nice. I'm literally June 18th. I'm getting on the road. I'm going all the way over to Edmonton and then going into the mountains, Jasper, Banff, and
You'll
coming
love
back.
it, dude.
Yeah. Oh, nice. It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
That's awesome. But that's the extent of all I've done all week long. It's kind of freeing sometimes to forget about it, but no. Aside from that little live stream, the big takeaway being actually was funny because I pulled up at a gas station right at around the time that on the live stream, Haas had what do you call it? What do you call those? Anonymous come on, and my radio's blasted. So the people were kind of like looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? What's he listening to? So I'm like, hey, turn that down for a minute, get my gas. And then, but that's the extent of what I've done over the last 3 to 5 days.
Anyways, well, I'm so glad you're safe and sound, and I hope you make it back to Calgary in time for your Sunday night live show.
Oh, I will.
And so anyways, anybody else have anything last minute to say? Because we've now been 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Kusama.
I think this is the longest.
Kusama!
That was like my first real, well, not my first, but the real, I guess, first real good call.
Yeah. Kusama is a great bet.
You did that on your own.
Yeah.
The only thing I've done on my own. Tim holds my hand otherwise.
That's it. I'm making a t-shirt named Kusama. That's
awesome. Well, we did this thing on Ryan's channel one night, and we did a rapid fire, and we'll see if we can do that with this group too. If the folks in the chat want to put, if you've got two cryptos that you're trying to decide between investing in, two cryptos, put it in the chat, and the panel will tell you what they think in general. They'll go around and say what they would do. So, and then that'll be our last, and we'll end it from there. So if anybody's sitting on the fence and don't know whether to go into XRP versus ADA, we've done that one 1,000,001 times. But if there's anything in particular you want, and if there's nothing, then we'll just end it there. Let's see what the folks say.
Root and define XRP and ADA, and you look at all that. You ever see that meme where it's the little girl like shrugging with her hands out? Why not both? That's what I'm thinking right now.
That's right. Yeah. So we've got Root versus define.
I guess because I'm probably the biggest proponent for these two so far. Price-wise, Root, because it's going to be the aggregator for. It's going to kind of be the back skeleton of define. Obviously, I'm high on them both, but he shot.
Matic versus VeChain.
Well, we know how I feel about that one.
Tim Perry's going to say Matic.
That's a hard one. Okay, so I'm sorry, man. That's a hard one. We're talking about VeChain, the AWS of supply chains, buddy.
Oh!
That's a very, 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 very hard one. I don't think you understand the full gravity of what VeChain's going to do.
I don't know. VeChain's changed its colors too many times for me to totally.
It has changed its what?
Colors. It's always like when NFTs were big. I wasn't. I was surprised that VeChain wasn't like, we're NFTs now. That's what I mean by VeChain.
I feel like they've always been supply chain, pretty focused in that regard. I see other VeChain chains coming out, but yeah.
I didn't know Jay Youngman was on the show. Me and Jay have been talking a lot on on Twitter. I just thought me and him became Matic buddies through me posting about Matic on Twitter. So
that's funny.
He got me actually to look at both those. I'm still looking into them. They're really like highly speculative, so I'm not going to make a shot call on them yet. But they have crazy APYs on the farms right now.
Oh man! Well, Ken can answer this one. Come on, Ken.
SHIB.
Oh, there you go.
Sure. You know what? I actually agree, because if you're gonna take a risk, why not take a risk, right? Actually,
has less.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay, so what do you think? Let's go to this one to CoinChaser, Polkadot, and Ethereum. Which one would you put your money into?
I'd like to buy both, actually.
Come on, Neil, you got to pick.
I'd probably go Polkadot.
Yeah, do me proud. Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. And okay, so we've got
Polkadot.
Okay, so here's one. Here's one. We'll go to Ken on this one. Dot versus Matic. Which one would you put in?
Matic.
There you go. Digibyte and Airweave. I've not heard of either of these things.
Digibyte I know of. Digibyte, just because
I used Digibyte was like my very first altcoin. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Lost its steam, unfortunately. I feel like.
Yeah, well, like the CEO went off to other things. Yeah, whatever.
Arweave also is providing storage for Solana, I believe, for all their dApps. So that's pretty big because Solana is going crazy.
Yeah, but Solana's going crazy because it's TikTok and it's just being hyped like to the moon right now.
Well, really, looking back, I should have got some Doge a little while ago, right? If I'm going to do TikTok, but I'm just saying, I'd go Arweave just because that. Arweave.
Yeah, I've messed around on Solana, like because obviously I want to try all these side chains. The only one that I've liked so far, Solana was crap to me, but Phantom was pretty good.
Oh,
I heard that actually. I heard people don't like the platform as much, but I do know that the tech and the speeds for Solana are pretty impressive. So that alone is pretty good. But like that's not the first time that I've heard criticism about like how they look.
I was not impressed at all.
They did just get a lot of funding to continue developing and build their ecosystem. So that's something to pay attention to.
But I have to revert to you got to have the team to execute. You know, like you got to have the people that are actually capable of doing these things.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm going BitConnect, buddy.
Because all that money, and I'm still waiting on Cardano.
Man, okay, Ergo or Link?
I don't know it. I'd have to go Link, but I don't know Ergo, so it's not fair.
I'd probably say Ergo because you're getting a higher ROI.
Okay, I don't know it, so I can't.
Yeah.
So he's not going to say Troy or Doge.
I don't know Troy either.
We've done Doge or Shiba. We've already did that one, and that one was Shiba all the way, apparently. And then this one is BitConnect or SafeMoon.
BitConnect.
Well, considering
50-50 on that one, eh?
BitConnect was a huge Ponzi scheme. Not that everything's not a Ponzi, but BitConnect was a massive Ponzi scheme in the 2017-2018.
Tim, USDC or Tether?
I could care less. This whole
How about genuine? How about genuine? Omi or Tel?
Telcoin for sure.
There you go.
On like it's a bigger market.
Okay, we'll end it off with Candace. Are you a dog or a cat person? So everybody go around. Ken?
Dog.
Oz?
I have 2 cats, so I got to say that.
Yeah. Cat? I know Ryan's a dog person.
I'm allergic to cats, though, so I'm kind of biased.
Neil?
Dog and Pepsi. Also
dog.
allergic to cats.
Coke, man. Come on, Neil. You disappointed me.
Oh, we're going to have the Coke Pepsi conversation. And Tim Perry, dog or a cat?
Cat and THC, Redbeard.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Well, my
Definitely
husband and I are
THC.
dog people. So, Redbeard, THC versus CBD.
I don't have any injuries. I don't need CBD.
Oh, my gosh. Anyways, this has been really fun tonight. Thank you guys so much once again for the lively discussion on Crypto Night in Canada. Thank you everybody for tuning in yet again. This has been a great conversation. And honestly, if you want to find Haas, you can find him at Haas HODLs. He uploads one video a week, and he has his live on Saturdays. And then if you want to find and chat more with Ryan at the HiRye channel, he does, I'm not sure anymore. I think we're doing
it's
Sunday night
with stocks and crypto. Really, like where I'm at in this is for the next my next mission is I want to learn more about farming and probably get myself on that end of things. But I'm 50-50, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, that's awesome. And we just want to thank everybody so much for your time yet again. Tim Danter, I'll see you soon. Tim Perry, Ken, Neil, Haas, Ryan, this has been great. And we are going to call it a night. Have a good week, everybody.